Welcome to Smokey Mountain Logging, Episode 1, with me, MrSealyp. Well, here we are, Smokey Mountain Logging. There are a few things I need to sort out before I begin. I keep going, I realised on my last video I'm doing that a lot. I'll try to avoid doing it. That's my kind of pause for thinking. Crikey. Right. I'm going to sell a few bits of equipment first. This episode's going to be a little bit of setting up, a little bit of organising, and getting a couple of bits of equipment. Actually, what I'll start doing, I'll move this. Start it up. Take it more over towards the logging area. It's quite slow, but one of those things. This is not a farming let's play, exactly. When I finished on Drummard Farm, I said I had a plan for my next let's play of what I was going to do. I sold off all the equipment, and there's also something else in the pipeline for that. That will be on a farming let's play. So the next map farming that I do, that will be when that all happens. I'm starting on normal with $20,000 on this. This is not the one where I transfer money over. So for anyone that's looking and shouting at the TV and going, oh, you sold all that and you know you should have that money, yeah, absolutely, yeah, I will do at some point. Let's move this out of the way. My first impressions are I'm going to need some vehicle shelters, I think, here somewhere, because there are no vehicle shelters. I'm going to sell some of this equipment because I don't need it. I'm probably going to keep the voucher for the time being, but the actual tools I don't need. When I get to a point, if I get to a point where I want to do any actual farming, if I want to plough some fields out and do that kind of thing, I'll lease or buy or whatever I need to do to start off with. Now I'm hoping, because there doesn't appear to be kind of hazard markings anywhere. Well, this is a dangerous one, I said this before, because I thought I would jump on it straight away and have a go, but there's always the potential that at some point very, very soon an update will come out and I'll be part way through and I'll then get frustrated and annoyed. That will be on me if that's the case. If that does happen, that'll be my fault and I'll need to spend a little bit of time getting myself back to where I was. Well, I've done it before. It's not like it's going to be anything new. Momentary pause for contemplation there. Drop that off. Some of what I do on here will not be conventional. And I understand, well, possibly some of the things I do won't be done in the real world or wouldn't be done in the real world, but I'll do what works, what fits. Don't think I'm going to need that for the time being. No. Can always get a larger one if I need to. I've got a couple of slightly unusual ideas for using bits of equipment that aren't usually associated with this kind of thing. Well, the money is racking up. At the end of the day, I've got the Sampo Rosen new. I've got the STEPA Log Trailer that's smallish. I've got a chainsaw. If I have to spend a few hours just hacking away at trees and getting some logs in the sell point, then I will do just that. Let's just pop this up. Not quite sure why I'm putting it here particularly, but that will do. Right, let's get rid of this harvester and the pickup because I don't need that. I know that a lot of YouTubers would probably just start with this already kind of set up and ready to go. It's I wouldn't say it's a bugbear of mine. It's one of those things that I've always wanted to know how a person's got to where they are. It's very easy to say, I'm starting this map, I've got $2 million, or I've got 500,000, or I'm in my mind I'm always thinking, well, that okay, but how did you get there? Where did that come from? So I'm very much kind of let's show people what I'm doing. I may reinvest in a pickup at some point. I may even get a van, but I'm not sure I'm going to need it. Okay, this should be the last of what I'm going to sell for the time being. 235,000. That's not too shabby, actually. Right, just realised I parked this in a very awkward position. Now, I need you to bear with me just for a few minutes. I have a construction team on their way in to do a bit of work. This actually just leaves me with these, doesn't it? These and another tractor. This is going to be interesting to see. And for me personally, I'm just thinking, how am I going to build this up? I've got all sorts of ideas buzzing around my head. Yeah, see how we get on. Right, bear with me. Now, my first thought was top right hand corner, 6,000 in construction costs. The construction workers have been busy and have all now gone. After doing my guide to on the static ramp and then doing a couple of videos of jumping things using the ramps, as soon as I did my first look on this yesterday, my mind thought, hang on a minute, I know what I can use the ramps for. When I did the first look, I did say that you can't just dump logs here, they have to go in here, which would prove fairly difficult without using cranes and various different things, so make life easy. So I've got a nice wide ramp array here, which means that you can either back trailers up and tip into here. What I was also thinking was dumping logs at the bottom, and then with the wheel loader or another piece of equipment pushing them up here and in. Obviously there's a lip here, so you might get the odd one or two stuck here. With a combination of wheel loaders, telehandlers, that kind of thing, we should be able to get them in. So I thought that might work quite well. That's the first step. Next step, obviously they didn't line up particularly well there, but that's not too much of a problem. They're fairly straight and they're all pretty much lined up at the bottom, bar a little bit, an inch or so here or there. So that's the first step done. I've got my ramps in place. I was thinking of trying to have one this way as well, so you could back a trailer up lengthways and then from the side on come in and kind of lean it. Maybe not realistic, but it would work. Problem is this lip here isn't flat. I thought it came up to a point and then it was flat across the top, but it's not. It's got a slight angle. So if you put a ramp this way, it sticks up. It doesn't really work very well. That's not a problem. The other thing I could do is maybe put a couple of ramps here, down this way, but that may well come. As I start doing things, you start to think, actually, this will work, this won't work, I need to do something a little bit different. I have installed pretty much every logging mod I could find that's in the mod hub for PS4, with a view to at some point using various different ones to show how they work. I'm going to use this STEPA definitely to start off with, because I need to load some logs onto there. I did think about I'll just drag them over with this, but this is quite slow and it's going to take a while to go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And as you may have noticed, I'm doing a lot of my thinking process out loud today. As I said, I've had a lot of ideas buzzing around my head since I did the first look yesterday on this, about what I could do, how I could start off, and it's all a little bit kind of jumbled. I've got a couple of ideas that I think might work, which may not. And this may not be everyone's cup of tea. People might be, you know, they don't want their YouTuber voicing their ideas out loud. They just want them to get on with it and do it. But a lot of people comment and say, thanks ever so much for showing us, saying what you're doing, giving us your thought process, and it helps other people to kind of work through a process themselves. It's just the way I do it. It's how I kind of process information. Let's jump into the Sampo Rosenau HR46X. Start it up. And let's find some small trees, smallish trees. I am going to, the first thing I'm going to invest in with my money will be a wheel loader, not a wheel loader, a telehandler. Well, that materialised from nowhere. For helping load, because the crane on the back of the stepper is fine, and it's a bit fiddly to get the hang of when you first start off, but it's okay enough to operate. But I'm just trying to think of how to speed this process up. I will show how to use it. I will actually give it a go. Let's start this up. Open the head very quickly. So now, unlike the Scorpion King, you can't raise the boom, that's it. It doesn't go any higher than that. I can go in or out with it, like so, but I can't really bring it up, which means you kind of end up just dragging along the ground. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. So, I've set it at 6 metre cuts to start off with. I could, if I wanted to, spend the time, I don't know why I would, but I could spend some time just cutting small chunks, loading a small trailer and doing it all by hand. Just chucking them in by hand, one at a time, until I've built up a little bit more money. I could do that, absolutely. But I'm going to do this to start off with and get a few logs together. So bear with me, and next time you see me, I should have a few logs piled up here. Interestingly, well, I say interestingly, it's probably not interesting to you, but one of the first pieces of equipment I ever used on Farming Simulator was this, the STEPA logging trailer with crane arm. When I started on FS15, and I didn't play 13, 15 was the first one I ever played on, I thought one of the quickest and easiest ways to make money would be to do logging, so I sold all my equipment, bought a chainsaw, bought one of these. I found it so fiddly and difficult to use. I've been playing the game quite a while now, so I'm hoping this will prove a little bit easier. L1 on the controller, I can change the control group from ARM by pressing R3 to support. So if I put the support legs out now, raise it up a little bit off the ground, and again support group back to ARM. So what I should be able to do now, hopefully, he says, turn the head slightly. We'll see how this works out. Now, it's no different to using the crane on the Buffalo, if you get to a point where you can afford to buy one of those. And then hopefully together. Now these don't always like doing 2 logs at a time. Sometimes they get a little bit wobbly. So I've got to remember the controls now. Bring that one in, that one down. Could probably do some music really. Otherwise people are going to get bored, aren't they? Right, that doesn't look too bad. Turn the head a little bit. Now these are too long, that much is obvious. So what I need to do is bring that up a bit. And then try, if I can, to push that right down, like so. Like I say, it's not liking the fact. Let's open those arms. Okay. Now I can use something to push that in, whether it's the tractor or the Sampo Rosenau, just to push those flush with the end. But I believe this has got tension belts. So once the tension belts are on, if you feel the logs are starting to float around a little bit between, stick the tension belts on, then bring the next load on, put the next load on, undo tension belts, do them back up again, and you can kind of keep them in place between each load. That was slow. I'm going to have to take a bit of time improving how I did that, but they went on. I'll get some more on there. I have cut down some larger trees as well with the chainsaw, because as I went round, there's a few. There are plenty of small trees I can use the Sampo Rosenau for, but I thought while I'm doing it and kind of moving out, I'll chop some of the larger ones down. The deadfall one that was laying down side here, I've chopped that up, and so there's a few here. I will continue doing what I was doing. I'll use the stepper, pick up the ones that are here, get those onto the trailer, and then move on to some of the larger ones. How I'm going to unload this when I get over there, I'm not sure at the moment. Probably just have to use the crane again, which will be painful to watch, but it's how I need to start off. Right, I must continue. I'll be totally honest with you, that took a lot longer than I thought it would, and it's because I cut some down myself. The 6 metre lengths are the ones that come out to about here. Those are the ones I did with the Sampo Rosenau. Some of these other ones are where I cut down some of the bigger trees with the chainsaw and then chopped into roughly 3 pieces, so they're a little bit longer. Now these are way longer than this trailer is designed to take. You know, they're on there, but they shouldn't really, I don't think, be out that far. That said, I'm going to get it over to the sell point, which is where my next problem begins. I have now purchased a few bits of equipment. You can see the money's gone down a little bit, which I'm going to use for the next load. Having taken a while to do this, and there are a few odds and ends scattered about, but everything else that I'd cut down is now on the trailer. And what I've done as well is just put the actual grab push down on top of the logs just to keep them in place. So that TARDIS shed is really weird. Every time I drive towards it, it suddenly appears and then disappears. I'm keeping my eye out for Doctor Who. It's going to be about somewhere. Now, if you remember, I said this wasn't always going to be conventional. Yeah. Now, I can spend ages now pulled up alongside with the log grab, unloading these a little bit at a time. That's what I can do. Or I can be a little bit unconventional. I don't know how this is going to work realistically, but let's see. First things first, jump on there, raise that up out the way, we'll turn it to one side. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. Ideas in your head that you think, okay, this might work, this could work. I need to go forward with a better plan in mind. I'll undo the straps one at a time. I could do it from in cab, of course I can. Now these should become a little bit more unstable. Should. Yep, that didn't do a lot. Into the cab. Now, I did this with a buffalo on law folds. If I back up and then stop, or hit that, edge forward a little bit and come back again. There we go. Something about unconventional. One more small push and these will go. They should just drop straight in. And there we go. How much did I make on that? Not a lot. Now, it's going to require a few loads to get anywhere near any kind of good production, to be getting anywhere near a decent amount of money, which is kind of worrying. And this is my point I had talked about in the first map tour. When you look at the prices for the wood chips, I'm playing this on normal, not on easy or anything like that, but bearing in mind it's a logging map, I suppose they're realistic prices. You're not going to be paid ridiculous money for timber and lumber, and I suppose the point being is you make your money by doing it in quantity. This is not going to be a quick fix, easy making money scam or anything like that. This is going to be graft. It's going to be, you know, going through the motions and doing what you need to do, I suppose. It's a bit of a scary realisation, that. I was really hoping when this map was released, and bearing in mind there'd been the mod contest, that a little bit of a week or so before the mod contest, it might have been the same week as the mod contest started, Black Sheep Modding had released a video of their logging trailer, the one that actually tips sideways. Now that would be perfect. Drive that up, even if you swing it round sort of slightly around the side, then tip sideways or tip sideways here onto the floor, then push them up into the sell point. You can do it in larger volume. What I used to do was with a wheel loader, pull up a trailer, disconnect the lorry, semi, whatever you want to call it, tip the trailer over with the wheel loader. It's not realistic. You wouldn't do that in real life. You wouldn't tip over an entire trailer. You need a tipper. So a bit more thought is going to be needed into how to do this a little bit better. Let's just put the crane away for the time being. And think. Thinking about what I'm going to do next will probably involve a log trailer of some description. But this is the equipment I have now purchased to go along with what we've got. I've got the Manitou telehandler, and I've got the this is a log fork from the CSZ pack. Where are we? Let's go on to telehandlers. If we scroll right across, there's the log fork you get, which I don't like the single prong log fork. I think they're horrible. Double at the bottom, one on the top. The logs twist all over the place. Don't like that. The CSZ mod pack comes with a log grabber or a log grabber extra. So I thought I'd give that a go. That might help out. If any of you look back or have seen way back, probably on Sosnovka, on FS15 I think it was. I did a little bit I think on FS17. I've used before the manure fork for picking up logs. I know it's not normal and it's not what it'd be used for at all, but that actually works surprisingly well, and I may well go back to using that, and I'll see how the CSZ log fork works. So I've got that, the Manitou and the CSZ log fork. It's a nice mod, and the details on it are great, and that whole pack is absolutely fantastic. I've also got the front loader attachment. I've got the Biobeltz log fork. Again, I like this one. Got wide spread bottom ones and a 2-prong at the top, and I like this one because it closes right up tight. So if you're just doing single logs, it holds them really tight. But this is designed for a front loader. I've got a large rear weight in case I do some big logs, and that's going to be for the Valtras. The 2 Valtras that you've got in game have both got front loader attachments already. So for the next load I do, I'm going to have a bit of a fiddle around and see if I can use some different equipment and speed up that process. But I might well need a log trailer as well, I'm thinking. So I'm going to hook all this up. This is what I'm talking about. All the logging equipment I could find I've kind of downloaded, and I'll be trying various different variations to get a setup that works. This was quite heavyweight, I think. There you go, as you can tell by the wheels going down, because I've got to allow for the fact I might be doing some heavy logs at the front. It's interesting, this Valtra. I've used different Valtras on the various different Let's Plays. I probably would never have gone for this particular colour, but actually it's quite nice. I used this one a little bit when I started off on Lawfolds, this log fork, because when you're starting off and you've got a few bits of equipment to use, this is a nice one. And like I say, the claws at the front close right the way down, which means, like I say, even if you've got an individual log, a very, very small one, that will clamp right down on them. So I do like that. That's a good bit of kit. And then we've got the Manitou. With the log fork extra. It's a nice log fork, nice and wide to give you good stability, stops the logs twisting off either way. If I open that, nope, that's the wrong way. If I open that claw up, opens up a fair way, which is good. That's the only downside. See, that's the problem. I was really, really hoping that that would close right the way down, and like the other one does, kind of scissor through a little bit. So you've got more control, because realistically, if you've got one log, that's going to close to there, and that one log's going to be floating around in this area here. So this is probably designed for doing multiple logs at a time, providing they don't go all wobbly. Sometimes they go a bit jittery and glitchy, and they bounce around all over the place. So we'll see, but again, it's another test. If this doesn't work, I can always change it out for a different log fork or try something different. This is my test phase. This is where I'm trying to work out what bits of equipment work well and which bits don't. So next thing I suppose is going to be a logging trailer, probably. I'm going to need to have a dolly as well, because I've only got tractors. And let's see how that pans out. Okay. What I'll do, I don't know why I just started logging over here. It just seemed to be kind of, I just went in that direction. So Sampo Road's new still over here, so I'll carry on over this area and cut down some more trees, and we'll give it a go trying to load up with these bits of equipment, see which ones work well and which ones don't. That should speed up the process a little bit more. And go and grab the Valtra. I generally do my weights now in bright colours, because you have a tendency to put them down on farms and stuff like that and not be able to find them. So at least this way they kind of stand out when they're bright colours. Okay. I'm looking in the forestry equipment at the moment, and there are going to be a few different options available with regard to felling trees. We've got some tree cutters that go on the front of various different bits of equipment. I'm going to need a stump grinder at some point. There are obviously options for those available in the skid steers as well. Log trailers, you've got the timber runner, the Flegel timber runner that comes standard in-game, which is only 17,000. Downside to that one is that you've got all of these, the uprights, I can't remember what they're called now. I want to say splines, but they're not splines. The uprights that run all the way along the side of it, there are a lot of them, which is great for stopping things falling out off the side for smaller logs, but it can be a pain for loading. And then there's the Biobeltz one that was a mod, the TR 500. I think it's a slightly shorter trailer actually. It's a little bit more expensive as well, 23,900. But there aren't as many of those uprights, which means you can get wheel loaders, telehandlers, log forks, whatever you need to in between those for easier loading and unloading. So I think I'm going to go with that one. I'm probably going to have multiple trailers in the end, I would imagine. I may end up having to lease a wheel loader for the little while until I've got the equipment I need. Oh, didn't turn the engine off. Oops. Right. Let's go and get the other Valtra. Disconnect that. So I've got that trailer, plus I've got the dolly for the time being. So as you can see, you've got more open spaces here kind of underneath for getting grabs and stuff under it and around it, and much more space for getting between. On the other one, the timber runner, you've got a lot more uprights in between, and it's very, very hard to do. So whilst this is a shorter trailer, you can overhang the trees in the back, whatever you want to do. Your lumber on the back. It's not a bad trailer, but we'll give it a go. Again, we'll see how it works out. If it doesn't work particularly well, we'll go on to plan. What are we up to now? C? D? I don't know. That go under there? Ooh, that doesn't like that, does it? Oh, that's interesting. As you can see, what I've done this time, I've tried with the front loader. That large weight on the back is actually paying dividends. I've cut down a couple of trees manually, and I've got an entire tree here. Finding the correct point to lift it is often it's trying to find that centre of gravity, because it's thicker that end, thinner that end, and this is preaching to converted, teaching a granny to suck eggs, that kind of thing. If you've done this a lot, you'll be yeah, we know that, but not everyone does. So you want to try to go a little bit more that way than that way, otherwise it's unbalanced and the whole thing will twist or tip in the wrong direction. But you see what I mean about this log fork? It clamps right down onto one log really, really well. So what I'm going to do is offer this up to the trailer first, and in theory, so it can still turn. And this is what I'm talking about, having more space, and it would be, wouldn't it, typically right where I need to be. So if I come this way a little bit, so I'm this side of that last upright, and you can see that there's a lot of weight on there. The whole thing is just waiting to spring out of that clamp. Right, hopefully lift that up over that height there. Perfect. And then bring it down inside. Nope, still got caught up. I thought it was far enough over. Right, let's twist that way a little bit. There we go. Right. Now before I actually let go of this in the trailer, what I'm going to do is jump out. Trim that off. So that now gives me a kind of rough log length for that trailer. Let's open that up. And that's actually not too bad, but as you notice here, you've got these two at this height, then the trailer comes along, lifts up, and you've got one a little bit higher and a second one a little bit higher. What I suppose I should have done, thinking about it, is put the thicker end this end and the thinner end that end to start off with, and then as you start to fill up the trailer you kind of jiggle it around to try and keep the load level. But that's on. It could have been cut so it came a little bit of a further overhang that way. I don't really want to overhang too far off the back here. Then these can be put on in between loads just to fill up. But that's first log on anyway. And I can strap those if I need to. Now it's the turn of the Manitou, and it picked the log up actually very, very easily. I trimmed the end off. I've got about, I think, 2/3 to 1/3 roughly, and it really did work very well. This is a lot easier with the telehandler than it is with the front loader because you've got a lot more scope for movement. If I undo that now, it should drop into place fairly accurately. And there we go. So, in the absence of the Scorpion King, where you can just go and grab the trees, wallops, chop them all up, pile them all up, and then you just whiz around with these, picking up and piling them in. When you're starting off doing this, it's manual labour. The Sampo Rosen and you will do the small trees. The bigger ones got to be done manually with a chainsaw. It's going to take a little while to get going. I'm going to be trialling out various different bits of logging equipment, different wood chippers, all different things. This kind of mini Let's Play, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a kind of mixture of Let's Play, guide to, all sorts, because there's a lot of logging equipment I haven't touched, I haven't ever really used. So, you know, there are log grabs and all sorts of things that I'll have a bit of a fiddle around, and we'll try and do a comprehensive logging forestry Let's Play. But that's the end of this episode, slightly longer than usual, and I'm trying to get to grips with what I'm going to do. But I hope you've enjoyed it. It's something a bit different. If you have, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.